Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business Spotlight, the podcast where we shine a light on the incredible entrepreneurs and business leaders in our community. I'm your host, Craig Whipperman with Music City Action Coach, and today we're excited to introduce you to someone who is blazing a trail in the field of fractional paralegal services right here in Nashville. Our guest today is Lora Hortert, owner of Tennessee Paralegal. We'll dive into Laura's background, explore the challenges she's faced, and the successes she's celebrated. Whether you're a fellow entrepreneur, an aspiring business owner, or someone who simply loves to support local businesses, this conversation is sure to inspire and inform. So, Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
I'm
you're more than
excited to
welcome.
be here.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit about how Tennessee paralegals came to be, and how you ended up in this role.
Sure. Well, it's something I've been thinking about for a really long time. Back in probably, gosh, I don't know, 2011, 2012, I was working in-house as a paralegal and having a conversation with my attorney at the time about how a lot of legal work could actually be done remotely. And the law, unlike some other professions, is very slow to change. So the reality of this is what people expect, and this is where attorneys expect your, paralegal to be right there, it took some time. And it really wasn't until COVID, when people were forced to go home and work remotely, that I think a lot of attorneys went, this could really happen. And so at the time I was taking care of my mom and working as a paralegal remotely. And when my mom passed away, I kind of stopped and went, I've got all this time now. My kids are grown. I don't have anybody to take care of. What am I going to do? Well, let's start a business. So I jumped in with both feet in January of 2022.
Wow, yeah. So it is very interesting how COVID just forced obviously a lot of different things, and working from home, where before was, I guess, allowed. I remember people wanting to work from home, and it's almost like you had to be a little bit flexible, but not to the extent that COVID made it.
Right.
And you had the foresight, though, back in 2011 and 12 to see this as an opportunity. And now fractional services, there's fractional everything now,
Yeah,
It's
there
really
is.
interesting.
So one of the things that we do for attorneys, our attorneys actually make assignments to us, and that's why we say it's fractional. So we're
Mhm.
not tracking, handling all their incoming calls, doing all of their scheduling. We're not doing that sort of thing like an in-house paralegal might. We work generally with solo practitioners or small law firms and handle whatever they don't have time to do. So we help our attorneys scale their businesses by taking some of the document preparation off of them.
Yeah, and I imagine I would imagine being a paralegal is probably more satisfying in that you're really able to focus in on the legal side of it, and not so much the administrative side.
Yeah, I really do enjoy that part of it. I love the law. I've been fascinated by it for a really long time, like even before I was a paralegal. And um, I like doing the legal research. I like crafting legal arguments and legal documents. And yeah, so I'm able to really focus on that, or at least our company is able to focus on that.
Right. So you had the idea back in 2011, 12, finally took the leap of faith in 2022. Did you have some clients already lined up when you made the step, or did you jump
I
out
had
into the?
three. I had
Mhm. Oh,
three. So I started out with me and three. Um, and one of the clients that I had was the attorney that I was currently working for.
hmm.
And um, I think one of the biggest challenges on the front end was I was talking with one of the partners, and then the other partner was brought in. And when she kind of realized what was going on, she was like, no, we can't do this. And I had already, I'd already set up the business, I had already done everything. And so, 2 weeks into my new business venture and I lost one of my biggest clients.
Wow.
So I took about 10 minutes to go, oh crap, what the heck? And then I just started calling other attorneys that I knew and reaching out to them. And that same day, I was able to pick up a new client that actually replaced the one that I lost in volume. So yeah.
Awesome. So you learned the skill of, I guess that's not cold calling. That would be kind of warm calling, I guess, if it's.
Yeah, it wasn't cold calling completely. It was definitely hey, remember me? We met in this trial. Do you need any help? So
I mean, honestly, it's a it's a great sell if you ask me, because you are honestly solving a problem and providing value, and it's something that I know you believe in, or else you wouldn't be doing it.
yeah,
And if you believe in something like that, it just kind of comes across in your attitude and your presentation of it, and I'm sure you've been able to grow it beyond those first 3 clients.
yeah, we've actually worked with probably 59 different clients over the last 3 years. We have about 8 paralegals now that we work with. And, my role has changed. When I started, I was doing all of the paralegal work. And as we've grown, my role has changed into more of running the business and less of doing the actual work. So that's presented a whole new set of challenges.
And give us an example or two of new challenges.
Oh, well, I think for us, because in the state of Tennessee, we are not allowed to work with the general public. We can only work with licensed attorneys, because otherwise it's considered the unlicensed practice of law. Nobody wants to get in trouble for that. So our marketing techniques have to be different, because we can't just run Google ads or even Facebook ads, because then the general public gets our information and not necessarily our target audience. And so trying to figure out how to creatively market to attorneys has been a challenge.
What have you tried?
Well, one one of the things that I've done in broaching new areas is I have a wonderful chocolate chip cookie recipe. And I have made chocolate chip cookies and wrapped them in bags with my business card and hand delivered them to attorneys' offices. And I've actually picked up a couple of clients that way and gotten a request for the recipe. So
Well, I would imagine you sure would get, be able to pick up some clients that way. That's pretty clever. Have you ever heard of the concept of lumpy mail?
no.
Yeah. So it's like, instead of cold calling, you would send something like, I don't know, like a bottle of Tylenol, with a note that says, you're looking for somebody to help clear up your headaches, with a
Oh,
question
that's
mark.
brilliant, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just follow up with a phone call, when you know that person's probably gotten it. And
Oh, that's great. I'll add that
yeah,
to the list, definitely.
yeah.
Some of
So,
the other things that we've done is join local bar associations and attend CLEs. Since we're not working in-house, we lose some of the ability to keep up to date on legal changes. And going to CLEs has helped us to stay informed on the changes that are coming down from the legislature, from Supreme Court order, rulings, to whatever might impact the way we do our business.
okay. And so how do you keep up with the changes? Is it pretty simple to do, or is there a system you have in place to?
So attending CLEs, continuing legal education as paralegals, we get
Okay.
to meet attorneys that way, and we also get to stay current on legal changes.
Okay. So that's what the acronym stands for. CLE
Yeah,
is.
sorry. Yeah, continuing legal education.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect. So you kill two birds with one stone then,
Right.
right? Yeah. Fantastic. How frequently do they have CLEs? E type of
Oh, it actually occurs pretty frequently, and it depends on, we work in several different areas of law. So we will do family law, we do personal injury, we do some business law, wills, estates, probates, like all kinds of things like that. And so when you're looking at staying current in all of those different areas, you can go to a CLE once a month or twice a month. Yeah. So it can be a lot.
right. So now you've got 8 paralegals now that I would imagine, are they distributed across Tennessee or the U.S. or?
I have, most of them are in Tennessee. I do
Okay.
have, my workflow manager actually lives in Alabama, but
Mhm.
she has worked as a paralegal in Alabama and in Georgia and in Florida and in Tennessee. So she has experience in those 4 states.
Mhm. And then the other 8 are in Tennessee, I
The
guess.
other, yeah, the others are in Tennessee.
Right. And do they all have expertise in certain areas of the law?
Yeah, I have paralegals that have more experience in family law matters, some that have more experience in the wills, estates, and probate areas, some that have more experience in personal injury. It just depends on their background. And
Mhm.
when we get an assignment in, we use their background and their expertise in deciding who does what.
Right. And so, if you, I would imagine, when you target a law firm or attorney to market your services to, I would imagine that they're already operating in that area of the law for which you have the expertise to serve,
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
right?
Like we don't have anyone that handles bankruptcy law, and we don't really have anyone that does intellectual property. And
Mhm.
so I wouldn't feel comfortable taking on an attorney who has that kind of work, because we wouldn't be able to effectively draft what they need.
Right, right. Um, so one of the challenges you pointed out in your transition from doing paralegal work to running the business was marketing to attorneys. Have you found recruiting paralegals to now kind of fill in the technical side? Is that
That's actually easier.
is it really?
It is easier. Yeah, it's easier to find good paralegals than it is to find to be able to market to attorneys, I think.
Yeah.
Just the general way, word of mouth is always the best. So if
Hmm.
any of my paralegals can make recommendations on other paralegals that they know, that's what I would prefer. If I have
Yeah.
to place ads, Indeed is the way that I do it usually. Sometimes on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Sometimes I get swamped with resumes that yeah, it takes time to go through.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, I can imagine, good paralegal is probably one who also wants some independence and to some flexibility in their life and not being
And
tied to an
yeah,
office.
that's the beauty of what we do, because we offer that flexibility to our paralegals and to our attorneys. The attorneys
Hmm.
aren't required to give us so many billable hours a month or anything like that. We can do single projects, we can do ongoing support. It just depends on what they need, and we customize our services to whatever they need. Same thing for our paralegals. They kind of tell us how much they want, how much work they want, and we try to provide that to them.
Um, so what other challenges have you run into? Are those, or is marketing to the attorneys the biggest one?
I think marketing is definitely the biggest challenge that I've run into. I mean, there have been, I'm trying to think of specifics that I can tell you. I know that there have been other times along the way that I've been like, oh crap, but I can't off the top of my head think of a specific example.
Hmm. Okay. Well, so where do you see business going in the next several years? What's your vision for it?
Yeah. So I was actually just meeting with my workflow manager this week, and I have a new business manager to kind of help me along. And we were talking about our plans for the future. And so we're planning to expand. I have worked with attorneys in 3 different states besides Tennessee, but really trying to expand into other states in the next year or so. So that's something that is high on the list on our agenda for the next year, is to really
Are
push
there
that.
are there regulatory hurdles you have to clear in order to do work in other states?
Not so much. There are states that license their paralegals, like you can apply to become a licensed paralegal in that state. California is one of them. I know with Arizona, if you become a paraprofessional, I think is what it's called in Arizona, you can actually take on clients from the general public. And some states are pushing that to open the access to justice and make it easier for people to be able to access the court system, because hiring an attorney can be very expensive. And so that's an avenue that we're looking at too, whether we want to become a paraprofessional in those states. That would actually eliminate the issues that we have with being able to market specifically targeted to attorneys, because then we could market to the general public.
Oh, wow. Wow. That seems like it seems like it might be a pretty good incentive for you,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
but again, those states we have, Arizona, California, I think probably Washington State is another one that does that. And so they're all quite a distance away from Tennessee. And
Right.
we'd have to have someone there who worked for us, who then we could market for. And
Okay. Okay. So you couldn't market services in California or Arizona without a physical presence there, I guess. Is that right?
it would be difficult to represent clients, the general
Okay.
public, if you didn't have someone there to go to court with them.
Oh, of course. Yeah, right. Of course. Duh. So Laura, tell us, since 2022, when you took the first step, what's the biggest learning experience you had?
Oh my gosh. So one of the, I guess, challenges that I've had, going back to another question that you asked, is kind of imposter syndrome, right? So when I first started out, I was trying to compete price wise with in-house paralegals, and not taking into account the fact that as a business owner, you now have to cover more of your payroll taxes, you have to cover like all of your social security, like all of those things that the
Mhm.
company actually pays for on behalf of an employee, that I now have to pay for myself. And so when I first started pricing, I was underselling my services. And in an effort to try to get business, rather than using the value pricing, now is kind of where we've gone with it, in that we know that we provide good product. And so if you want good product, you pay for good product. And so that, being able to have the confidence in myself to know that this is a business that can work, and to ask for a rate of pay that is comparable to the services that we provide.
Mhm.
We
Do
also do
you?
still allow our attorneys to make money on our business though. So we're not so priced high that they don't make money on us too when they bill their clients.
Right, right. So how does the sales process work? Do you have people, lawyers calling you? Do your clients refer other clients? And you guys,
We
or do
have
you do?
had a large word of mouth. I think that is what drove our increase in business from year one to year two. We had an exponential growth. I think our revenue increased like 187% from year one to year two. And that was mostly through word of mouth.
Mhm.
We had a lot of attorneys who were telling their friends who were like, these people are great. We need you to go use them. If you need some extra help, they're a good source to use, which is always appreciated.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, I forgot your original question. I got so caught up.
No worries. Referrals, right?
Yes.
How does the sales process work? And
Okay.
do you get most of your business from referrals, or do you do a lot of hunting like you were talking about earlier? Um, and I'm just really curious because comparing prices in-house to something like you would do would be not apples to apples type of comparison. Do you find yourself competing with other fractional paralegals, or are you competing with work that's done in-house? Or
A
who is
little
your
bit of
competition?
both, actually. Not really. I don't see in-house paralegals as competition to us necessarily. I think it just depends on where the attorney is in their business. So
Hmm.
when you're first trying to scale, I think you don't necessarily have the income to support hiring someone.
Hmm.
And so that's a really good opportunity for fractional paralegal services to step in and say, look, we can take over drafting these documents for you, which will free you up to take on more clients.
Hmm. Yeah, so you got to hit them at the right time in their growth.
Right. So when they get to the point where they can actually afford and pay for an in-house paralegal, in fact, we've had one client that's kind of made that transition. When she first started working with us, she didn't have the business to support hiring an in-house.
Hmm. Hmm.
It eventually got to the point where with us, she was sending us so much work that I finally said, I think you need to look at hiring someone in-house because it's your business now can support that. And
Hmm.
certainly if you have overflow, we're here.
Hmm.
And so she and I sat down and we had a really good discussion about that. And she has hired someone. We still do work for her on occasion. And as she continues to grow, when her work becomes too much for her in-house paralegal, I know that she'll reach back out to us to pick up some of that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Um, so you're kind of a consultant at the same time.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, she became a friend over we worked together for 2 years. And so
mm,
she became a friend and yeah, we would meet for lunch and kind of sit down and hash things out and talk about business strategies and that sort of thing.
yeah. So does your marketing include what it is you just described to me for, you know, targeting those with
Well,
message
it
that
doesn't,
are,
but it should, I guess. Thank you for
yeah,
pointing that out.
I mean, that's the sweet spot for you, right? You can figure out the right language or the right verbiage, but that's where you really help. And then, not every law firm wants to grow.
Right.
So you might, I don't know if you're wasting your time. There's still a market for you in those that don't want to grow because there's overflow, but
Well, and we
opportunity.
do I have a small law firm that I work with that we handle all of their discovery. Like they have
Hmm.
in-house paralegals, but their in-house paralegals don't have the bandwidth to handle the discovery, so they farm out all of their discovery to us. So we
Yeah.
do deficiency letters for them. We draft and answer discovery. We actually talk with their clients to get the answers to the discovery. We organize it and we send it all back to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And so their paralegals kind of, again, hone their expertise into areas where they have expertise and then farm out where it is they don't, I guess. Is that how that works?
Or where they don't have the capacity to do it.
Yeah. 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 So that's kind of like handling the overflow,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had if you had the opportunity to do everything over again, what would you do different?
Oh gosh. I know exactly when I would start. So the first year or so that I was in business, I kind of revised my business structure. When I started out, I had no idea that it would grow. Like I was going to be happy just working with my 3 clients and doing my thing. And then they started again, the word of mouth. They started telling people, and so by like 5 months in, I had more work than I could do. So, but because of that, I hadn't actually sat down and made any kind of specific business plan to grow. And so I felt very much like I was playing catch up for the first 2 years. Like I was behind and I was reacting instead of being proactive.
Right.
And this year, last year was a little bit of a breath, right? Because I was still experiencing growth, but it was more steady instead of explosive. And this year has really been the year where I've been able to be more proactive and actually plan on, okay, this is how we actually move the business forward.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Having a plan, how's it go? Plan. Oh, I think this is an old Eisenhower quote, if I'm not mistaken. Plans are useless, but planning is everything. I don't know if
Yeah,
you've heard that
that's
before, but
very, very true. Very
yeah,
true.
you have to at least have a plan. Um, whether you refer to it or not, whether it changes or not, it'll change, but nonetheless.
It always changes. You can, I
Yeah.
mean, the
Well,
best laid plans, right?
right, right. And in your defense, when you first started out, you weren't sure how it was going to work, and
No, I had no idea. And there was no blueprint out there. Like there wasn't a book that I could read that said, hey, if you're going to start this kind of business, this is what you need to do. Maybe I need to write a book.
yeah, you should write a book. Pretty cool. So, do you know of other fractional paralegal services that exist out there now? Or
Yeah, it is. It's actually a growing field. There are several, and even in the Tennessee area, there are several.
Mhm.
And there is actually a lady now who helps coach people who want to be virtual paralegals, whether they want to just do it on their own or they want to grow their own business and have
Yeah,
their own business. So
yeah,
it is an evolving field, and it's just, I think we're just on the front end of where
yeah,
things are going to go.
right. Agree. So we're coming down the home stretch here. I got just a few more questions for you, Laura. Tell me, is there a book you've read, maybe one that you read some time ago, or one that you've read recently that's had an impact on you or influenced you or motivated you?
Yes, absolutely. The Compound Effect, Darren Hardy.
Okay.
In that book, he talks about how I think when he talks about how making small incremental changes over time end up making huge changes, right? And I think when we think about the way we want to change things, I don't know, I guess the most common analogy is at the beginning of the year when you're like, oh, I'm going to get healthy. And
Mhm.
you think that you have to go join a gym and change the entire way you eat and all of this all at once. And his hypothesis in the book is that if you just make one change, one small change over time, that's going to create a huge difference. So maybe instead of, going through your cupboard and throwing everything out that's bad for you and going and buying all new stuff and joining a gym and doing all of that, maybe you just decide, I'm going to limit my sugar intake for a month and see how that works. And then you make a different, you add to that over time. Right, it's more sustainable change than
Right.
trying to do it all at once.
Yep. Small changes are, done over time are, a lot easier to implement than big changes all at once.
Right.
Question about it. I haven't read that book, but I need to go find it and read it. How long ago was that published? Do you know?
Gosh, I don't remember off the top of my head. I think I read it probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay. So not that long ago, then maybe. Okay. So two more questions. if I had a magic wand and could wave it over any part of your business right now, what would it be to change anything and
Oh,
make it better? What would it be?
absolutely. I need 500 more attorneys like ASAP. That's what I need.
Yeah, well, a good marketing plan, will probably satisfy that.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And we're really focusing on that area this next year.
Great. And one last question. We'll end on a high note here. Tell me what you're most proud of in your business today.
Gosh, just taking the leap, stepping out in faith and just making the change, deciding to start. That was the hardest thing I think I've done. And there have been moments along the way where I've really questioned my sanity at the time. But overall, it's been very rewarding and very worthwhile. And I think probably anyone who has started a business could probably say the same thing. It's a roller coaster, to be sure. There are highs
Yeah.
and lows, and sometimes you experience them all in one day. But yeah, that's the one thing that I'm most proud of, is just having the courage to do it.
Yeah, no question. And you know what? Feeling them all in the same day, it gets kind of dizzying,
Yes,
Kind
it
of got to get
does.
your bearings right and take a deep breath and have somebody talk you in off the ledge if it's not yourself, and start a new day tomorrow.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what my husband's for. He talks me off a ledge all the time.
Perfect. That's exactly what he's for. Well, Laura, it's been great having you on as a guest. I really, really do appreciate your time and sharing your story. So where can folks find you? TennesseeParalegals.com, is that right?
It's tnparalegals.com.
tnparalegals.com. Well,
Mhm.
I wish you the best of luck, and congratulations on your journey so far.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yep, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay.